hear us at the moment.
Those poor people.
Buddy was moved to your channel.
Shh, we're
We are
live,
live.
bud.
You have the grid up,
Alright.
Bates?
I don't have the password for the server.
I'll poke you with it.
We're not live yet either.
Well, YouTube's like a minute behind us, but like it's encoding as we speak.
I miss Dale.
Who's on the poll?
Corey Carpenter.
What am I hearing right now?
You're probably hearing the stream that you have opened up. All right, yeah, we're ready to do the lineup.
I did, I just heard it.
On the front row, we have Corey Carpenter and
What? Let's introduce ourselves first, at least.
Welcome everyone to the Hooters 200. My name's Tyler Head. Alongside we have Alex Bates, and we also have Bobby Campbell here along to provide this broadcast. Getting ready to get underway here. Drivers making their pace lap around the Speedway. Should see the starting lineup at the bottom of your screen. We're about to get racing here.
yes, and on row 3 we have Brandon Hoff and Matt Sanders. Row 4 is Ryan Cobb and Brandon Cattell. Row 6 is Cody Dutton, and I missed that other name. Row 6 for real is Dylan Duvall and Brendan McGee. Row 7 is Josh Buckwheat and Corey Heffley. Row 8 is Dylan Landry and Jeff Ramsdale. Row 9 is Jeremy Stanley and
Pace car's off.
Kyle Taraska. The pace car is off.
Green flag is in the air. We're racing here at Atlanta. 40 cars or so heading into turn 1, and it's going to be crazy. These first couple laps, it's going to have to settle in as we go into turn 1 and 2.
Corey Carpenter and Philip Kraus went into turn 1 side by side. Looks like Carpenter got the advantage. Chris Overland trying to fill up that hole that he left, try and take the second position as they enter turn 3.
And a huge pack of cars here at Atlanta. It's beautiful to see it, but we got to be real careful in these first couple laps because there is a lot of opportunity, a big opportunity for a very big crash. These guys are just settling as they go into turns 1 and 2. 3 wide in the back as we head into turn 2 and down the backstretch.
Yeah, Chris Overland was able to clear Philip Kraus. Now he's side by side trying to hold off Brandon Cattell for the 3rd position. They enter turn 3 side by side. Meanwhile, the number 10 of Matt Sanders is going to try and fill the hole.
Yeah, the 51 almost had a contact with the 32, and it's still almost happening. 3 wide off the corner. Brandon Hoff in the middle there almost makes contact with the 2. They sort it out, though. The 88 is going to go by, and the 51 is going to follow as well.
Really close there, and really hard when you're going through that dog leg at Atlanta when you're 3 wide. Everybody, not a lot of grip in this racetrack, and that's one of the harder places to get through here, besides, of course, the turns.
So we'd like to apologize for such a haste start here. We didn't have really much time to go down what we should be expecting today. Today's event is going to harbor 150 laps. I'm not sure if any of those are allotted for a green-white checkered. Now we had just about 40
cars.
cars.
Is scheduled for 130 laps, just to clarify.
There you go. So a 20-lap buffer for green-white checkers. And yeah, a fantastic event here as this Forals, I believe, 4th or 3rd special event, and it's a different, change up to what we've been used to seeing with the super speedways. And so far, so good. Lap 4, going on 5 now, and your leader continues to be Chris Overland.
Down
We're
the
seeing
back
some-
stretch, we see some racing with Corey Carpenter, and it looks like Brandon Cattell. Cattell will take the spot in turn 3, but the 8 car Corey Carpenter may be able to hold him off. We saw a little bit of that in practice. He's just going to let him go.
That's the second position. Cattell just took over. Carpenter fills the hole in third. Philip Kraus is racing side by side with Matt Sanders for fourth and fifth.
Yeah, and in the practice, these guys were able to, not necessarily hold it wide open, but they are at most times in the gas, all the way around the track. The speeds don't really drop under 175 miles per hour. It's a very, very fast track.
And really hard when you're going at these speeds. If you make a mistake or the car gets out from under you, it's really hard to collect it back up. Thankfully, with Atlanta, there's a lot of space to collect it back up, but make the mistake at the wrong time, you're going to end up having a really hard time of keeping the car underneath you.
Now the field is kind of settled in here as we are approaching lap 8. Right now, the first 6 or 7 cars single file, and then there's a little bit of a gap, and then you get another group, and then a little bit of a gap, and then you kind of get a gaggle back there as they come off turn 4 right across our finish line.
That is quite a gaggle.
Yeah.
Back there racing for 14th.
And it starts with the 32 and the 99 of, respectively, of Brandon Hoff and Jeremy Stanley there, running respectively 14th place. See those cars back there. They were all bunched up there for a sec. I think the 99 is going to set sail as they go off into turn 3 and 4.
But still, you have Connor Babel, Kyle Taraska, and Brendan McGee racing really hard in the group behind them.
I'm actually
Chuck
really
Johnson,
proud of
Stephen Knight.
I'm really proud of these guys. Sorry to interrupt you there, Tyler, but these guys have made it 9 laps now, and I thought for sure that start was going to be crash filled, and I'm surprised they even made it to where they're at now. So hopefully a good omen for the race. We've definitely seen the racing in the last couple of events pick up as far as fun to watch the credibility goes. So this has been no disappointing race so far, and we still got a long way to go.
Meanwhile, up front, Brandon Cattell is taking over the lead, and Matt Sanders is taking over second position over Chris Overland. Now Overland trying to pull the crossover back underneath of Sanders. They're going to go side by side into turn 3 for second.
Yeah, while we were away, the pro driver, Brandon Cattell, running up front. Definitely something he's not accustomed to with this track and car combo. You won't see the DWC guys racing here with this car, but he's definitely letting it hang out wide as they go into the corner and then diamonding it in coming out of the corner. Doing pretty good right now. Contact with that. We got a couple cars around.
Kraus. And the third car involved. Now a fourth is Josh Buckwheat gets clipped. He's going to go up and hit the 32 of Brandon Hoff, and more are going to pile in.
And they're all piling in.
Brendan McGee's involved. Connor
They just
Babel.
continue to pile in. 32's
Mayhem
there.
on the backstretch.
Yeah, that's exactly what I didn't want to see. Once again, I think this is the third race in a row that I've just happened to say something about the racing being fantastic, and then not a lap or that later. There you are.
Looks like the 29 of Brian Tedeschi was that third car that I was referring to, and then a whole lot more piled in after that.
Man,
The
talk
51 of Ryan Cobb.
about bad luck. Brendan McGee was through that, and this is the organizer of the event. Can't catch a break. Just wrecked once again.
Chuck Johnson in the 87 ended up involved.
Working lap 11 here. Service Master Clean Caution comes out for the first time in Atlanta. Hooters 200.
Stephen Knight in the 64 came to a dead stop, but I'm pretty sure that he got away from that without any damage.
I'm not sure what the 51 was doing, but I can tell you what he wasn't doing, using the brakes. Never showed any signs of stopping coming up onto the crash, and unfortunately it's probably what caused such a massive collection of cars. It didn't help that he came into the crash at 190.
Kyle Taraska also got caught up into that crash. Let's take a look back at it and try and see if we can see what caused this. We had Corey Carpenter and Cody Dutton racing side by side. Carpenter went up the hill a little bit and looked like hard to tell exactly what happened there from the angle I was looking at it from.
It just looks like Philip Kraus really wasn't prepared to avoid Corey there as he came out of the corner, and that'll do it.
Yeah, it looked like Corey ran up the hill, had to really get out of the gas to keep from hitting the wall, and Philip Kraus was just running off the corner as he normally would, and the gap closed up really quick, and around they went along with several others. I already see 3 cars have fallen off of the lead lap so far as a result of that incident under this caution getting repairs. Don't know how bad the damage is on each car, but certainly some have just been put out of contention for the win at least. I mean, depending on how this race goes and how much time they have to fix up their cars, maybe a top 10 or a top 15 may be in the cards, but I'd have to think that if you're going to win this event, you're going to have a clean vehicle, especially with how aero-dependent this track is.
And what it really comes down to is, now that these guys have got these incident points and they've been involved in this crash, with an event like this where points doesn't really matter, there's really no point to, carry on if you can't even contend for a top 5, which I believe, is it the first 3 positions pay out, or is it the first 2?
We'll get back to you on that later.
Because,
pretty sure the leader's going to get a bonus, and then there's going to be a random top 10 bonus, and also incident free. So if you were just in that accident, you're out of contention for that, but there's also pride to race for, too. I mean, a lot of these drivers have spent a lot of time preparing for this race. They want to, show how well they can do. Sure, they've been given a lot of, potentially a lot of damage and a lot to overcome, but if you can come back and get a decent finish after all of that, that's just a little bit more of a pounding on your chest you can do. A little bit more pride to take in yourself. So I'm sure that's what's going to spur on a lot of these guys, especially some of the ones with more damage. More so than the prospect of winning this race, because that's probably not going to be in the cards for them.
I was curious if they were going to wave off that green flag here, but they're not, so we continue. Those guys are catching up in the back. Green flag out once again. Corey Heffley leads them to the line alongside the 08. The 80, excuse me.
Corey Heffley in that 52 pulling off, getting a good jump on that restart. Now they're left racing side by side for second. That's Chris Overland and Brandon Cattell racing side by side down the backstretch. And Cody Dutton looking to fill up the hole to take the 3rd position once that opens up. Cody Dutton really strong in our restricted plate races, also running strong here at the 1.5 mile track of Atlanta.
Yeah, it's like I said, this track is very close to a super speedway version of a 1.5 miler. Contact at the wall, huge crash. Oh man, and that's gonna pile them up again. That's 4. Looking at 5 cars now. The 88's there. The 43, which had that massive hit to start it off, is also there. Dylan Duvall all torn up in the field.
And it looked like the 31 of Kyle Clements got the tail end of that, but got quite a bit of damage. That car looks badly wounded, among others.
Taking a look back at what just happened. Focusing on Dylan Duvall here in the 43.
Yeah, and he just gets hooked, and talk about a terrible spot to get hooked to. Nowhere for anywhere to go.
Looked like he was coming out to the wall a little bit, maybe moving up a bit because the 2 was coming up a bit and just wasn't quite clear of Matt Sanders and got clipped. And around they went. And that really, as you said, was a bad spot for that to happen. I'm really surprised that there weren't more vehicles involved with how that worked out. But just looking at it, Dylan Landry in the 88 ends up piling into it. Matt Sanders goes around. Obviously the 43 is flipping through the air at this point. And the 31 of Kyle Clements I mentioned almost has it missed. And then the 06 of Brian Green comes back up onto the track and he ends up hitting him and gets a lot of damage to his machine.
Yep. Just another one of those things. Unfortunately, I don't know. These drivers, maybe, they have a chance to settle down, but if it continues like this, it's not going to be good for the field count The drivers just need to calm down and get into a rhythm. Unfortunately, they can't really find it right now.
Yeah, we have, it appears that we have 4 retirees so far as a result of accidents. Joe Johnson is retired, Dylan Duvall is retired, and Kyle Clements, it appears, has called it a night. But you know what they say, cautions breed cautions, and there are a lot of cars running in this race right now, and it's really easy to just make one little mistake, and unfortunately it means a lot of damage for other people when you do. But just one person moving in a way that somebody else didn't expect, and there's going to be an incident, especially on these restarts. While we have a moment here, we'll give you a rundown of our top 10. Running first is Chris Overland, running second is Brandon Cattell, running third is Cody Dutton, running fourth is Jeff Ramsdell, and running fifth is Case Brinksma. Running sixth is Drake Alvarado, running seventh is Jeremy Stanley, running eighth is Ben Zener, running ninth is Stephen Knight, and running 10th is Ryan Williams. Lights are still on the pace car, so we're at least going to be running 2 more laps here under caution before we get back going here, working lap 19 of 130 scheduled. I just wanted to take the time to say that you think of the restrictor plate races and you think that really opens it up for anybody to be able to perform, and we know who we've seen running up front in our other feature races that have all been on plate tracks. But looking at this running order tonight, a lot of the same players: Chris Overland, Cody Dutton, Jeff Ramsdell is another one, Case Brinksma, Jeremy Stanley, Ryan Williams found his way up to the front in those other races. Now he's running inside the top 10. All these guys were running well on restrictor plate races and are also showing their muscle here on the 1.5 miler of Atlanta. I know you said it's a lot like a restrictor plate, like a super speedway because of how much they can keep on the throttle, but
that's what
talking to them after practice, they were saying that after 5 laps you really had to work the throttle, and it's really line sensitive at this track too. So to be able to run up front isn't just a fluke here. It really does take ability, and these guys are showing that they certainly have the ability not only on the plate tracks but here as well.
I was just going to say, the crash, the first couple laps on the restart, especially when the new tires are there, are something comparable to when IndyCar went to Texas or when it went to Las Vegas. The cars are so able to stay next to each other, just if it's for 5 laps, they're still able to run a sufficient amount of speed and run very close. So it's almost as if you take Talladega, squish into 5 laps and reduce the track's, size and space. And then you get this track, and it's kind of scary to think about because, with this many drivers, and we're losing some drivers now, but we still have a pretty big field, still plenty of time to even have another crash or another crash. It's like I said, it's depending on how these drivers want to drive. That's going to be how the race turns out for the fans that are watching and for the drivers that are racing.
Just want to note here that Chris Overland has decided to take the outside lane for this restart as they work their way off turn 4. But, I said this in the last race that we had. It's all about if everybody collectively wants to be patient, because if there's one guy impatient, eventually there's going to be a wreck. As the green flag comes back out, we begin lap number 21. Chris Overland gets a good jump, and Brandon Cattell might be put 3 wide on return 1 if he's not careful. Cody Dutton looking to the inside.
Cody Dutton's been that, I wouldn't call him a dark horse, but I'd call him one of the 4 horsemen when it comes to these races, especially at the end of these races. He's been up front. He's decided to just get up front and stay up there today, looking for second, going into 3 and 4 now.
And Jeff Ramsdell running there in the number 2, running 4th, trying to decide who he should run behind so he can fill the hole. Looks like he's not going to be able to keep with him, though, as they continue to run side by side for the second position down the front straightaway.
And look at these drivers. They're able to run side by side, nose to tail. Like I said, these first couple laps, they're able to run like this, so everybody's trying to get the most out of their cars before the tires go away. Off turn number 2, look how tight it's getting. Cody Dutton not wanting to give it up. He's trying to get to the top spot. Meanwhile, he's got the 80 above him.
Yeah, Cody Dutton had the 80 of Brandon Cattell cleared for a brief moment in turn 2, but Cattell got a great run off the corner and down the back straightaway, pulled back even with the number 3. Looks like Dutton might clear him as they enter turn 1 this time. This allows Jeff Ramsdell to fill the hole. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, that was close. The 2 and the 22 had a moment, and it could have been a lot bigger than what just occurred. And in the back, we got a crash.
Flown.
3 more cars. Oh, make that 4 as one car can't miss it. It's Brian Feek. Mike R. Johnson involved.
Stephen Little Jr., Mike Johnson. Hayden Raypa trying to avoid the wreck. Caught the wall a ton.
Oh.
Looking back at it, Saul started with Stephen Little Jr., got into the corner and got shoved into the wall by the 36, and then came off the wall and caught another car and went flying, and then they all wrecked from there, either trying to avoid the spinning car of Stephen Little Jr. or getting into other people.
Yeah. Yeah, the 5, he was almost through that, and it just didn't make it. I guess these cars are real sensitive when the steering, especially when trying to get it woed down, just couldn't get it woed down in time.
Yeah, Mike Taylor was the car that was underneath of Stephen Little Jr. there, entering that corner, just washed up the track and got into him and set that into motion.
Pit stops underway. Leader Chris Overland on pit road, followed by a good portion of the field.
Well, I would have to think that at this point, 24 laps complete, probably would be safer to just put the 4 tires on there and put on 2, but we'll see what they elect to do. And it's going to be 4 tires for our leader, Chris Overland.
A little bit of a slow stop.
That's quite a race off of pit road. Looks like Overland's going to get it at the line in a really close race for 3rd. Looks like Ramsdell edged out. Looked like Ramsdell edged out Alvarado there. But 14.6 seconds for Chris Overland. Certainly a slow stop, but had benefited from being the first car on pit road, so was able to at least maintain the lead. Although it looks, I should say, maintain the lead off of pit road, it looks like we may have had some cars that like to stay out. At least for the time being. Cody Dutton and Ryan Williams among them now. Let's see, it looks like Ryan Williams is coming to pit road.
Along with Elliot Henderson in 37.
But we still had a couple stay out. Cody Dutton. And it looked like Corey Heffley.
Heffley
So the
narrowly
first 2
getting through that wreck just a moment ago. Looks like he's going to get himself out of that situation by staying out here with Cody Dutton as well.
Yeah, he was on pit road under that last caution, so probably figured might just as well stay out this time, get some track position so I don't have to be around those wrecks potentially anymore. I say potentially because who knows, they might go around up front. You're never safe no matter where you're running, but you definitely feel safer running up front rather than mid-pack.
Well, Brandon Hoff attempted to get his car repaired to no avail, unless I'm just seeing something right now. He's literally crab walking down the backstretch. A lot of damage to that car internally. And it appears he's going to try to run it. I doubt he'll try to run it for long. Not going to get enough speed there with the car sideways. Looking he might take it back on pit road. Going through the field looking for some other damaged cars as they come off pit road to repair it. We've got quite a few. But if they keep wrecking and it ends up everybody up front wrecks, then the guy that wrecked before might have a chance. So, like you said, it's that mentality of it's not over until it's over.
Just like to document that Philip Kraus in the 19 involved in that first caution, he just took the wave
wake
around,
up.
getting at least one of his laps back. So that will leave him 1 lap down at this point in time. And the lights are off on the pace car, so we're going to be going green next time with Cody Dutton leading Corey Heffley. And those two drivers did not pit on that last stop. And Cody Dutton, I believe, has not made a stop all race. Potentially stopped on that first caution, I'm not quite sure. But regardless, did not pit this time. Same for Corey Heffley. And then Chris Overland, the first one off pit road, running third.
Officially, last time by, we have 19 cars on the lead lap. It looks to be 16 of which have not received a sufficient amount of damage, compromising their car and the integrity of their chance to win the race. So, we'll have to wait and see how that plays into this as we're coming to take the green flag.
Drivers are all stacked up. Still quite a few left in this field, waiting for that pace car to peel off. There it goes. Now waiting for Cody Dutton to lead him off for the green flag. There it is in the air, and they take off. Looks like Heffley got the better jump there. Cody Dutton appeared to really struggle to get going.
The 80's pushing him now, looking 3 wide. He thinks better of it. He jumps back on the high side. Now the 47 are Overland all over the back of Dutton. They didn't get too long in the last big race at the Super Speedway. We'll see how that plays into the fact. Double file down the backstretch. It's almost as if they're tangling going into 3 and 4.
Yeah, Corey Heffley trying to just barely clear Cody Dutton, but couldn't quite do it. Now Dutton's taking that inside line, using it to his advantage. And it's going to be really close at the stripe, give the advantage to Dutton.
Yeah, and I don't think anyone's really got the advantage now because there goes Dutton. But as soon as Dutton slides up the middle, here comes the 52 of Heffley. Now Dutton slides high. Here comes Overland low. Contact almost as they're 3 wide on the backstretch for second place.
Corey Heffley rolls out of it, doesn't want any part of that. Just 28 laps complete here of 130, but Chris Overland wanted it, and now he wants the lead as he looks to the inside of Dutton.
Settling down, I don't think so, but remember, these first 5 laps have got to be this way. They're getting everything they can get. We haven't been any more than 5 laps in the last couple of cautions because of the cautions. We'll see how long they can get here. The 52 almost creates another one as he's sideways, but look up front. The high line's starting to form now. Cody Dutton falling back. He's trying to get back to that lead as Overland takes it in 4.
Oh, he had an evil wiggle entering turn 3 there. Had to gather it back up. That's going to cost him the second and the third positions now as Ramsdell's going to go by.
And as they come across that tri-oval, it's like when you're driving on the road and you meet someone in a bad corner and you just hate it. Every time they come to the tri-oval in that dog leg, they somehow manage to get 2 and 3 wide. It's kind of hard to watch. It's scary.
Meanwhile, back there side by side for 6 now. Corey Heffley trying to hold off Alvarado there in the 22. Looks like Alvarado's, well, didn't get quite the run I thought he would there. Heffley's going to pull him down the straightaway. Oh, and there's contact. There goes Alvarado.
Car
Heffley
around.
Spinning down to the dog leg.
More cars involved. Let's see. 2, 3,
Alvarado
4.
comes back up, hits the 40 and the 60. That's Ben Hancock in the 60 and the 40 of Connor Babel.
And that is undoubtedly going to ruin their guys' days.
They were just going side by side into the dog leg, and they were racing really close with each other. Just made a little bit of contact, and it's a really precarious spot in the track.
Yeah,
I was just have any contact there.
I was just saying, you know, it's when you meet someone on the road, it's a terrible spot, and you hate it every time you see it. And then then these guys go 190 miles per hour. Just the simplest 2 wide is hard to manage. And looking from the footage here, it doesn't even look like the 22 car even made contact with the 52 initially. It just looks like he had got a little too much wheel into the car or something. That car kicked sideways. I'm not sure if it was net code or what, but definitely something made that car evil. Look at Jeremy Stanley, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but he went through the grass to miss it. Wow.
Either it was net code or it was just Alvarado reacting to just,
Hey, wake up.
Thinking that he might be hitting the 52, but either way, that's a product of racing each other really hard going into that dog leg early on in the race.
He's being blamed for the crash.
As the leaders go down pit road here, get some tires. We're going to have a word with somebody involved in an earlier wreck, Kyle Tarasca.
Buddy was moved to your channel.
And we've caught up with Kyle Tarasca here. It looks like you have retired from the event. Tell us what happened out there.
Just unfortunate. I'm not sure exactly what happened, but I saw the replay. It looked like the 8 car couldn't give up the lead on lap 11. He just blew the corner in 1 and 2, and he pushed up, hit the bump in 2, and hit the wall, and then everything backed up from there. And I don't know, and a couple of cars got involved, and then they just kept wrecking after the fact. Just a bunch of morons, honestly. It's pathetic. It's a real shame. That first race we had at Daytona back in July was awesome, and then it seems like every race we run here, it goes downhill more and more. It's a real shame because Brendan puts on a good show here, and you guys do a hell of a broadcast, and it's real unfortunate for something like that, for like 4 cautions and 30 laps, and put a lot of time and effort, try to practice, and I feel like I had a chance to win all these races so far, and I wasn't even given a chance tonight. So just real disappointed, but I'll be back at Daytona, and we'll see where it goes and give them hell.
Those first 10 or 12 laps, it seemed that everybody was kind of minding their P's and Q's. At least, we didn't have any cars going around at that point. What has changed out there, or is it just kind of things are coming together to create this havoc?
It's just guys that can't put their egos to the side, and they want to be on the broadcast and they want to be in first, this and that, and impress whoever, God knows who. And it's just, like I said, it's just real unfortunate. If guys could just man down and just fall in line and just race each other, and it's 120 laps and we're racing each other like there's 2 to go. And like I said, it's just a real shame, and hopefully when we come back in Daytona, guys will get their act together and we'll put on a better show for you guys.
Well, we'll hope for better results for you in Daytona, certainly, Kyle. Sorry that you're caught up in an early incident here, but anybody that you're going to be hoping for to have some success here that's still in the race?
Well, I got to pull for Cody Dutton. He's my main man. He's my teammate. So, if one of us could win either of these races, that'd be awesome. He really deserves it. He runs up front every race. He puts on a race, and he races clean. So, even though if he's aggressive, some people may not agree with that, but he's one of the best drivers in there right now. So I hope he pulls it off for you guys.
Well, I, for one, would certainly agree that he's aggressive, but also couldn't argue that he's quick. So, best of luck to him, and best of luck to both of you in the next event.
All right, thanks, guys. Have a good race.
Buddy was moved out of your channel.
That was Kyle Tarasca, caught up in that first wreck there on the backstretch, and haven't been able to really get back going since then. No more than a lap after the restart, we've seen cars get together. Hopefully that's going to change on this next one, but it's just really hard when there's so many cars in such a small area to keep away from each other. Just really need to exercise a lot of patience and a lot more give than take at that point in time. Let things work themselves out, and if you're quicker, you're going to work your way to the front. I know that the restarts are the best opportunity to make up some positions, but there's a lot of time left in this race. Not necessarily, it's not exactly necessary to pull off some moves that are risky at this point in the event.
Yeah,
at least in my opinion.
News from the garage: we've got a couple cars that have parked that were not damaged. One being Ryan Williams, time sensitive with school being back. He's no longer in the field, so. Don't see him. That's why he was not involved in the crash. Just time-sensitive race here. So Ryan is parked, which is something. Him and Hayden was one of the 2 guys that hung back in the Super Speedway races and made it work there at the end, at least for Ryan. And Hayden was also lurking. Those guys were bottom feeders and kind of waiting in the back all day. And we've got a couple cars trying to do that today. We'll have to wait and see how that pans out. We're coming to take the green flag on lap 36, see if we can get a couple green flag laps in.
Yeah, it looks like Case Brinksma is going to be leading Chris Overland and Brandon Cattell. Green flag's in the air. Looks like Chris Overland got the better run that time again on the outside, but Case Brinksma is able to keep pretty well even with him as they head down towards turn 1.
I'll be surprised if Overland doesn't wait too long to take this first place position from Case, so we'll have to wait and see. Off turn number 2, though. He is pulled up right alongside. Now they're going 3 wide for the lead down the backstretch into 3 and 4.
Brandon Cattell pulling out. They're making it 3 wide, and they all hold it down into that next corner. None of them wanted to give. Cattell's going to get the advantage, and now they're going to go 3 wide for second. It looks like Ramsdale thought better of it, but still side by side for second between Brinksma and Overland.
Yeah, it's and something interesting going through the trial was Overland didn't really force the issue as far as they come off turn 2. They got real close to that wall, not forcing the issue. Going 3 wide, he made a smart move. Talk about a smart move.
Oh!
He gets into the yeah, car
Brandon
around, and
Cattell
that's the
gets
80.
hit from the lead. Looks like he's going to be the only one involved, but my goodness.
Yeah, and that's I don't know about on your screen, but he wasn't even anywhere near him as far as touching him. And it looks to be like netcode.
I can confirm that was a lot of netcode. There was at least a car, maybe 2, between them whenever that just happened.
And just like that, another one bites the dust. Unfortunately for Brandon Cattell, it happens to be him.
While running in the lead.
Fighting for it is Chris Overland, and he almost becomes a part of it as well. As I don't know if Chris thought he might have got into him and he instantly jumped on the brakes, but something occurred. And Brandon Cattell retires from the event, not wanting to even try, as that car was pretty much well destroyed as he got into the wall hard. In all that chaos, your new leader is going to be Case is going to take over the lead, but this time by it's going to give it to Chris as the scoring loops are going to put him into the lead. So Case is going to fall back to 9th after starting first, Overland first, and the 15 seconds. So interesting to say the least.
Well, the driver's pitting, and Case is one of them. And it looks like he just might have made some contact on pit road. Not sure if it's going to affect him, but he did have to drive it off into the grass.
Well, it wouldn't be surprising. We've seen quite a few cars going to the grass to make some moves, one being Jeremy Stanley, who just so happens to be running 3rd right now. As they came across the line last time by, we have 13 cars on the lead lap. Brandon Cattell, which has just crashed out, is 1 lap down, and he will be out. Looking for Cody Dutton, who has fallen 5 laps down. I believe he is
It appears that he has retired. So certainly several retirees at this point, but also quite a few players left in the mix. And Philip Kraus in the number 19, he got the second of 2 laps back last caution, so he's back on the lead lap now and running in the top 10. And apparently they feel pretty confident in how well he's going to be able to run in that machine. They're pretty confident they got it all fixed up, so we'll have to see how well he can run. Lights are still on the pace car, so we're going to be running at least 2 more laps here. As they continue to pace, we'll go ahead and give you a full field rundown. Running first is Chris Overland. Running second is Ben Ziener. Running third is Jeremy Stanley. Running fourth is Stephen Knight. Running fifth is Jeff Ramsdell. Sixth is Danny Kongdong. And running seventh is Brian Mercurio. Running eighth is Corey Carpenter. Running ninth, Mike Johnson. And running out the top 10 is Phil Kraus. Running 11th is Elliot Henderson. Running 12th is Eric Rodman. Running 13th is Case Brinksma. Running 14th, Brandon Cattell. And 15th is Corey Heffley. Scored 16th is Cody Dutton, 17th Connor Babel, 18th Drake Alvarado, 19th Ben Hancock, and 20th is Ryan Williams. Scored 21st Chuck Johnson, 22nd Stephen Little Jr., 23rd Hayden Rapaw, 24th Mike Taylor, and 25th Brian Fick. 26th belongs to Brandon Hoff, 27th is Matt Sanders, 28th to Dylan Duvall, 29th to Dylan Landry, and 30th to Kyle Clements. 31st is Brian Green, 32nd Joe Johnson, 33rd is Josh Buckwheat, and 34th is Brian Tedeschi, and 35th is Ryan Cobb. 36th is Kyle Traska, and rounding out the field in 37th is Brennan McGee. As the field gets one to go, they stack them up double file, heading through turns 1 and 2. They'll be going green next time by. Well, Alex, we haven't had a chance to hear too much out of you so far in this race. Pretty busy queuing up replays, I'm sure. What's your impression so far of tonight's event?
It seems like a little bit what we saw not the most recent time we were at Talladega, but the time before that. Just really great potential, really good racing early on, and then just caution after caution.
And unfortunately, a lot of cars getting caught up in each wreck, dwindling the field size at this point, but still plenty of players to be in contention for the win here and for the money that's on the line if they can just keep it clean. 42 laps will be complete at the line, so still plenty of distance left in this race. As the field works its way through turns 3 and 4, come off the banking onto the front straightaway, waiting for the pace car to peel off into pit lane. And there it goes, now waiting for the green flag. And the green flag goes in the air, and they get on the throttle, and Chris Overland did a better job of starting at that time. Running second, there was number 15 at Benziner. Going to try and stick with him on the outside, but looks like he's going to have to settle for second at this point in time.
Jeremy Stanley not wanting to give up second just yet. He's fighting right back under Ben as they come down the back stretch here. Side by side going into 3 and 4. A couple cars in the back going wide. No problems there. Still side by side for second as the 47 starts to pull away.
Yeah, Chris Overland starting to open up a little bit of a gap as these guys race for second. We have Jeremy Stanley racing with Benziner and Jeff Ramsdell trying to fill the hole, take third.
And just like that, these guys, they're going to have to watch out for the guys with new tires, but as far as it goes, Chris Overland doesn't care. He's starting to set sail. Case on that hand has got the newer tires. He has, actually, I can't find him. I believe he's, never mind, sorry about that. Stephen Knight, a newcomer to the top 5 here as he moves in the 64 car right in front of Ben, who is starting to fall back on the high side now.
And Brian Mercurio is going to fill the hole, take over the 5th position to round out the top 5 as they exit turn 2. Corey Carpenter, he was involved in that first accident, trying to rebound here, racing in that gaggle of cars for 5th position. Now inside for 6th.
Starting to be the reoccurring trend here. Chris Overland leading these special events here. Not disappointing today as Jeff Ramsdell in a more familiar place. Him and Overland ran first and second quite a bit at Talladega. They're back here at Atlanta doing just the same. Lap 46 in the books. About to start lap 47 as they come across the line. Turns 3 and 4. It looks like the 2 and the 47 are going to battle it out here in the next couple laps.
Yeah, if we bring up the comparison between first and second, Overland and Ramsdell, you can see that gap continuing to shrink under 1/10 of a second between the two as they enter turn 1.
And now they're nose to tail. It's under a car length. It's half a car length now, and I believe it's going to be less than that as they come off onto the backstretch now into 3 and 4, side by side for the lead. Overland with a better car as far as riding it up high, and he continues to lead off 4.
Yeah, but Ramsdell not going to give it up. It looks like he's staying even with them down the front straightaway, looking to the inside, trying to take as short a route as he possibly can as they enter turn 1. Looks like he got a really good run through the center of 1 and 2. Got a bit of a run off the corner, right up to the back bumper of the 47, but not enough of momentum to make a move to the inside just yet.
Now most of the field single filed out here is, I don't know why they're doing it now, but they're deciding really to settle in, and I'm not sure why to do it now after we've lost a third of the field. Side by side for the lead, though.
Seems like the message has finally been pounded into their minds that if they race too aggressively, they're just going to wad them up. Meanwhile, side by side for the lead down the backstretch.
Into turns 3 and 4. Again, you got to be real careful. Don't get too close because we've known what's happened before with the leaders and the racing 2 and the 47 battling it out. This will give the 99 and a couple other cars the chance to catch up. We'll have to wait and see if it pans out.
Yeah, they're still running side by side, and that's just going to allow Jeremy Stanley to try and close up the gap, running about 0.3 of a second behind this battle. Meanwhile, looks like he's going to have to fend off the 41 of Brian Mercurio.
It's weird
Man.
because these guys are battling it out up here, and no one is really. I mean, they're catching them, but they're not catching them as fast as I would have thought of. Not sure why that is.
I'm really impressed with Chris Overland on that little bit of side-by-side racing there, holding on to the lead on the outside line. Anybody who's done iRacing knows that it's really hard to hold the outside line at most of the tracks, this one being one of them, but one of the focuses with this setup was to try and make it so you could run in a second line if you had to, and certainly worked for Chris Overland just then, was able to hold off Jeff Ramsdale at least for the time being.
Continuing to race side by side into turns 1 and 2. Ramsdale and Overland not giving up, still trying to get these fans something to watch. Even if it is just these guys battling it out, it's sure as heck worth it right now, as these guys are putting on a pretty good show. Not sure why the 99 can't catch him. He's running good lap times. Just these guys up here are just in a league of their own right now.
At least at the moment, we'll have to see how it all works out as the tires begin to fall off, but even when they're running side by side, they seem to be staying even with the 99 running single file. Now Ramsdale has to get back into line and mount another charge, but running 3rd to 5th, it looks like they are starting to creep into the picture here with these front two.
Starting to hit some lap traffic here. The damaged cars is the 2 has to check up as the 47 has to check up off the corner, and they're 3 wide the dog leg as they're trying to get around the 32 there, and now the 99 is caught up, but that's more because the 47 had a lot of problems, and it kind of accordion effect the first 2 cars.
Yeah, they were working their way around the lap car of Brandon Hoff, running 23rd, 22 laps down, but with so many cars retired, he can make up quite a few positions.
3 wide in turn 4 is the 87 way up high, letting the 99 and the 41 by, thankfully. Not having any problems with lap traffic today.
Brian Mercurio and Jeremy Stanley continue to race side by side for 3rd. Looks like Mercurio might, maybe not, clear him off at turn number 2. Man, there's some good battles when these guys get side by side. Mike Johnson trying to push the 41 down the back straight. They continue to run side by side for that 3rd position as they come across and complete lap number 55.
Now this race is really going to drag on for these drivers as we still got a ton of laps to go, and it feels like we've ran a full race and some with all the things that have went on so far. And if they keep racing like this, these drivers are not going to have anything left whatsoever as far as mentally goes, because there's only so long you can race as hard as you can before you just lose it, and that seems to be what the 47 and the 2 are doing. In fact, the last couple laps they've pulled on the 99, and it's almost a second now. It is a second across the line.
While the 99 and the 41 were racing side by side during that time, now Brian Mercurio and the 41 finally gets clear, and Jeremy Stanley tried to shut the door on Mike Johnson, but Johnson looks like he's going to get to the inside looking into turn number 3.
It seems to be quite the opposite with the 2 guys up front. They can run side by side and make up time, but as soon as anybody else starts running side by side, they start to lose time. Tools of the trade, I guess, as far as the way they're running. Maybe they figured out a line or 2 that are able to keep speed and do it easily and very fast.
After doing a little bit of practice myself earlier this week, it's some of the guys that are turning really good laps, they could match their lap times in that middle lane like Chris is running whenever Jeff gets to the inside. I think that's really benefiting both of them right now because they can race it out and get away from the other guys because they're just fast.
But what that does for Ramsdale is it makes it really hard for him to get around Chris Overland when he goes to the inside, because Overland can maintain his pace on the middle line, but Ramsdale has to pinch off his corner exit and lose some time every time he tries to pull off the move, so making it really hard to get around, at least for the lead at this point in time. Ooh, Ramsdale went out wide off of turn 4 there, almost caught the wall, and he's going to lose a little bit of time there to Chris Overland, but good second and 3/10 over 3rd place, so No pressure from behind at the moment. And with the way that this race is starting to work out now, it looks like we're getting into a bit of a long green flag run. Hopefully, I'm not about to jinx anything. I'm not Bobby Campbell, so hopefully not. But
I don't think they're going to flip. Don't worry.
well, you never know. Now that you've said it, they just might.
The 99 is on the track. The 99's on the track. Anything's possible.
That being Jeremy Stanley, but I think that really, if this race keeps going the way it is, I think this is really going to come down to green flag pit stop execution, and they do have a bit of a smaller fuel cell here, so they're going to be on pit road more frequently than they normally would be, so we'll have to see how well they can get on and off of pit road. And one thing to know, Brendan McGee, the organizer of the race, has made a point of telling these drivers that they have to merge on the backstretch, and if they don't, they'll be subject to a penalty. So keep an eye on that when they come to pit road under green, if they do.
Looking at as the leaders go by, we see the 89 of, I believe, Hayden Rapaw. I'm not sure what he's doing, but he keeps on popping up here every now and then, merging back onto the track.
Looks like he's just trying to run some laps and finish this race. Right now, scored 15th. With Brandon Hoff back out on the track, if he retires, he'll lose a position to him. So maybe just trying to maintain his position in the final scoring.
Yeah, and what we aren't able to keep track of is maybe this is a little bit of strategy. Maybe he is a top running car with no incidents.
Hayden Rapaw, the dark horse of the day, you got to watch out for him.
Just to note, I'm pretty sure that he at least has 2 incidents from missing one of the accidents. He hit the wall a ton. I'd be shocked if he did not get a couple of incidents for that.
Well, he is racing with Jesus.
Well, Jesus
Once
has been
again,
known to
dark
pull off
horse of
some
the day,
miracles,
Hayden
maybe
Rapaw's
removing some incidents.
running good.
And now onto the apron, letting more cars by. I'm not sure. Not sure what he's doing here. He's prone to spin if anybody gets raced with knows, and if I'm one of the guys passing him, I'd be a little bit worried with him diving on the apron.
Well, if I'm Chris Oberlin, I'm worried because Jeff Ramsdell was right on my bumper, and then Ramsdell caught the wall coming out of the dog leg. Now loses a bit of ground, but he was riding right on the 47's rear bumper through the front stretch.
Another thing about the setup is that the draft, if you mess up, you can still use the draft to keep up with your opponent.
Something I want to note here, these front two have been, running right with each other, but it almost seems like Chris Overland's just running his pace, just running his race, not really doing anything with his car that he doesn't think it's capable of. He's not really pushing the limit. Whereas Ramsdell, it looks like, is doing everything he can to keep on the back bumper of that 47 at this point in time. And we keep on seeing the results of that with it kicking out on the exit of 4 particularly and coming really close to that wall on a lot of instances. So looks like Ramsdell's really pushing his car to keep pace with Overland at this point in time. Coming up on a couple of lap cars now. Looks like the 87 of Chuck Johnson, they work their way to the inside of him. And Brandon Hoff going another lap down, they work their way to the inside of him as they go through 3 and 4. That allowed Ramsdell to close back up on the 47 a little bit. Now right back to the rear bumper as they enter turn 1. Maybe another thing to take note of is the fact that when you get up to the rear bumper of the car in front of you, it really tends to take the nose off of it. So that may be something that we're seeing affect the number 2. Once he gets right up on Chris Overland, the nose comes out from underneath of him and just pushes up the track, and he's having to counteract that. Also might be something that's keeping him from making a move on Overland at this point in time.
Back behind the leaders, you have Mike R. Johnson and Brian Mercurio and the 58 of Danny Condon all in a little group here racing.
Those front two are running toe-to-toe, and there's a good little gaggle here for third. Mike Johnson has the position, but Brian Mercurio wants it. And the 58 of Danny Condon's right there, too.
Battle for the lead hasn't really got too crazy, but it hasn't actually strayed away from each other. These two top guys have not been able to pull away from each other, but not been able to really get any more side by side than they've been already. It's basically been a 1 or half a car length race the last couple laps, and I think this is a good thing because they're just settling in. We don't have that many cars left, and we don't have that many cars near these leaders. So they're just taking their time running some laps.
I do want to note that it appears that Jeremy Stanley has made his pit stop, as he's now scored a couple laps down, but he's come to pit road, and it probably won't be too long until we see the rest of his competitors follow suit.
I was about to get to that. You got to think that after Ramsdale caught the wall racing with Overland, that maybe he just decided to back off and get back in the rhythm before these pit stops that are coming any time now.
Yeah, because at this point in time, potentially getting in front of Overland, and whew, my goodness, he certainly gets close to that wall off of turn 4, but getting in front of Overland on the track right now by a car length may not make a big difference, but if you can focus on that pit stop, execute really well there, you can make up a lot of time and get around Overland easier than on the track at this point in time. So just keep the car underneath of you, keep everything clean, focus on getting on the pit road.
And the way these guys have been racing, I didn't watch too much of practice any at all. I don't know if they've practiced getting on to pit road. That'll be another piece to the puzzle these guys will have to learn if they haven't already.
Corey Carpenter's made his pit stop. Looking to see if perhaps the leaders dive onto pit road this time. Neither the front two, nor third with Brian Mercurio, or fourth of Danny Condon. So
Jeff Ramsdale all over the bumper of Overland as they enter turn 1 right there. He knows that he's got the car to go for the lead, but I guess he's just waiting for the pit stops.
yeah, because using up a lot of your car and maybe taking a risk to try and take over that position right now isn't going to mean too much for you. But if you can get it done on pit road, it'll be a lot easier. And I don't know. I would just focus on trying to make sure I keep everything under me, keep in touch with Overland, and try and execute when the pit stop comes around.
I believe Overland will
you
be.
Can pass him.
Not sure if Overland's getting ready to make his stop, or that's got to be what's happening.
Well, he didn't come on the pit road that time, but he did surrender the lead to Jeff Ramsdale, so put Ramsdale to the point at this point in time. We'll watch to see if Chris Overland dives off the banking and onto pit lane this time by. Nope, not this time, so maybe Overland is just losing a bit of the handle there at the end of this run on his car. You see Stephen Knight coming back out onto the track after making his pit stop. And they go by pit road once again, so none of the top 5 electing the pit. And I wonder how much this is going to play into Jeremy Stanley's hands, because I know that he doesn't have anybody's draft to work off of, but he does have fresh tires. And he's had these fresh tires for 5, 6, 7 laps now. I wonder if he's going to be able to make up any time just as a virtue of when he pit. Because he may not have any draft, but the rest of the cars on the Speedway are so strung out, they don't have too much draft either.
Definitely something to look out for as we get to the later part of this race.
And we see Stephen Knight on his fresh tires working around 4th place Danny Congdon, and now going to go around 3rd place Brian Mercurio like he's standing still, showing what fresh tires will do for you.
Definitely a lot of grip here in the first few laps, and you really got to get the most of it in those first few laps, because after that you're looking like the rest of these guys.
Ramsdell continues to lead this field. Just put another lap on Hayden Rapon now, coming up on a couple of lap cars, puts it 3 wide to go around him.
Oh, they're round.
Chuck Johnson and Brandon Hoff get together off of turn 4, and that is going to be some bad luck for the drivers that already pit. But you know, I don't want to be overly critical, but that was completely unnecessary out of 2 cars that were, one going a lap down and another that's 25 laps down, to put yourself into a situation where you're 3 wide with the leader and then end up wrecking off the corner. And, you know, could have caught the leader up in that, could have caught up 2nd place Chris Overland in that. Kind of, you know, really unnecessary. You don't need to be doing that, and it's things like that that have put so many cars out of this race. So many unnecessary actions taken that have these kind of results. Now, I'm not blaming either one of those drivers in particular, and I don't think you really can pin the blame, but just to have that kind of situation, you know, come to fruition is just, both of those drivers I really feel like should have had the clairvoyance to avoid that.
Definitely not the brightest of moves. I'm not sure Brennan McGee will be too happy about that after he takes a look.
I mean, I'm not gonna point the finger at either one of those drivers, but I'm just gonna say I see one lap car moving up a lane and a half, and I see another lap car staying in the throttle instead of lifting out to avoid an incident. You know, we just finally got into a stretch of racing where, you know, everybody was getting into their rhythm, everybody was racing for the positions that they were worthy of and getting ready for green flag pit stops, and that puts us back under the yellow flag. It's really disappointing as somebody watching, and I'm sure as somebody racing too, to have the action stop for something like that. Meanwhile, we do have the pit stops on pit road. Chris Overland
has a much faster stop.
Off.
And he wins the race off of pit road with about a half a second quicker pit stop. And I think Ramsdell might have sped.
It appears that he did. He stopped at the exit of pit road and probably gassed up a little bit trying to get the advantage over Overland. And the way it turned out, that wasn't ever going to happen. But speeding penalty nonetheless, it would appear.
They'll really mix things up.
Well, it's unfortunate for Ramsdell in the fact that he's going to be put to the end of the line of the lead lap cars, but, you know, if there's anything good about the amount of attrition that we've had here so far, it is the fact that he's not going to have too far to come back from. So all those earlier cautions are actually good news for Ramsdell at this point in time. Looking to see who was given the wave around. The free pass that went to Jeremy Stanley. We documented the fact that he had made his pit stop, so I do believe that, yes, he's back on the lead lap at this point in time.
And he looks like he's going to even get some tires here now.
Yep, so he'll be back on sequence with everybody else and be back on the lead lap, so didn't exactly work in his favor, but didn't put him in a hole either, so.
Definitely be one to watch out here in the latter part of this race.
Looking at the pit stop times for the top 5 off of pit road, 14 flat for Chris Overland, 14.8 for Brian Mercurio, 14.9 for Mike Johnson, a 17.1 for Danny Congdon, quite a long pit stop, and 13.8 for Ben Ziener, who rounds out the top 5.
Not sure if Danny had some damage or maybe just getting all the fuel he could get, looking out for a possible green-white checkered or even more.
Yeah, as they run, this is right right near the edge of what they can run. They're probably good to the end of this event, as it is right now with 45 laps left to go at the line. But if there's green, white checkers, that's going to change everything. And despite the fact that we have less cars and, you know, we had a good long green flag run, with the way that things have been happening tonight, I wouldn't rule them out.
Definitely not.
Stephen Knight's going to take the wave around the pace car, get himself back onto the lap.
A lot of drivers getting the wave around.
A couple other drivers getting wave arounds. Eric Rodman as well.
I believe Elliot Henderson as well.
I need to correct myself. Stephen Knight is getting a wave around, getting back to 1 lap down. Elliot Henderson also doing the same, getting to 1 lap down. Eric Rodman is getting back onto the lead lap. Stephen Knight, one of those drivers who came to pit road and hadn't been able, he was working his way back up towards the leaders, but didn't get to them before that caution came out, so was 2 laps down when that caution flew.
And Jeff Ramsdale, with that speeding penalty a moment ago, just went back down pit road, more than likely to top off on fuel.
And a little bit of security for if this race has some green, white checkers, maybe some other guys either run out of fuel or have to come down pit road and he can have an advantage. Looks like Brennan McGee's in the pits trying to get that car repaired. Meanwhile, the pace car peels off and we're ready to take this restart. Green flag goes in the air. Chris Overland gets on it and really gets a good restart. He pulls a couple car lengths on the rest of the field. They're running side by side for secondary. Turn 1, Brian Mercurio and Mike Johnson.
I was getting ready to say that if anybody in this upper part of the pack was going to have anything for Chris Overland, they're going to have to get on this restart, but it looks like that's not happening.
We'll have to keep our eye on that number 2. Looks like he's mired back behind several cars, not only on the lead lap, but also lap down. So it'll be a while before he gets up here, but we'll know that he'll be charging hard. Meanwhile, they're looking to almost go 3 wide on the front straightaway here, racing for third, excuse me. Benziner trying to hold off Danny Condon, running off at the second corner. Got a good run down the back straightaway, almost clear to 58, but they continue to run side by side through turns 3 and 4, and Condon gets a better run going down the front straightaway. They're door to door as they cross the start-finish line, completing lap number 88. Looks like it almost appears that it's a lot easier at this point in time with these drivers. Oh, they're going, looks like they're looking 3 wide. But it looks like you can make the outside work a lot better in turns 1 and 2 than you can in 3 and 4. You can still hold your own in 3 and 4, but 1 and 2 you almost make more time than that driver on the inside just because of how much they have to pinch their car down.
Yeah, definitely. Feels like you had a little bit more room to work with coming off of 2.
I was just about to say that Mike Johnson was closing in on Chris Overland, but he just tagged the wall off for turn number 2. That's our second place driver. Now, potentially falling back into the clutches of Benziner, running 3rd, clear of all the other traffic.
Jeremy Stanley to the inside of 41 of Mercurio going into turn 1. Not sure if he'll be able to make the pass here, though, with as strong as the outside has been here on this early part of the run.
Meanwhile, creeping into the picture there in the background there, the number 2 of Jeff Ramsdell. He's cleared of all the other traffic, running 7th now, bearing down on these guys for 5th. Oh my goodness, he is using up all of the track.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, he gets so close to that wall off of turn 4, but he's making great time as a result.
Starts off from the top and just slopes down all the way to the exit and then comes up and uses every bit of the track. Gonna make it 3 wide going into turn 3.
3 wide entering turn 3, doesn't want to waste any time, and Jeremy Stanley, I don't think he was expecting that, got caught a little bit off guard. Meanwhile, Brian Mercurio still hanging tough on the outside. There's still nearly 3 wide. Now finally they clear Mercurio, but side by side for 5th.
That was it must have been a scary moment. They had a slow car, a Hoff down there on the bottom, almost in the grass, I think, while that was all going on.
Not just for them, but also for Hoff. I mean, he's looking up in his mirror and he's seeing them 3 abreast coming at him. Now they sort everything out. So put Jeff Ramsdell in 5th. 6th belongs to Jeremy Stanley, and Mercurio 7th, but he wants that 6th position at least back right now, working off the back bumper of Stanley.
Mike Johnson now has fallen back a few percent. Oh, we got a car going around.
Almost around.
It looks
like he saved it. No. He's lost
caution's
it.
out.
Caution's going to come out.
And if you're
It's Ben Zener in the 15. He had just taken over the 2nd position. I'm pretty sure that's what you were just about to document, and just tagged the wall off of turn number 2 and had that wheel cranked all the way to the left, trying to keep off of it. And when he hit it, it went around. My goodness, he almost saved that car, and I didn't notice that he hit that inside wall. That was part of the reason why he almost saved it. And he worked really hard to keep from going back up on the track too. Had that wheel cranked all the way back to the left as that car was sloping back up towards the preferred groove down the backstretch. So good work there to keep from getting anybody else involved, but nonetheless, caution flies once again here on lap 95.
And if you're Jeff Ramsdell, you might be feeling a little sense of relief now that you're right there with Chris Overland again, because there was a major gap he would have had to close to have a chance.
I don't know what Philip Kraus just did, but he just hit the wall under caution. That was interesting, but looks like most of our leaders, if not all of them, are on pit road at this point. I was just about to say, what do you think? Do you pit after running 10 laps?
You got to. The way this tire is working so far, it's literally you run about 5 laps, and then after that, your tires stay about the same.
Do you think we'll see anybody take 2?
If not one more.
Saw Philip Kraus there overshoot his pit stall. Watching Chris Overland, he's definitely taken 4 and doesn't look like
a slow stop.
I think we did see some 2 tires pit stops because the 58 beat him out. Unless that was just the really slow stop.
Chris Overland had a 15.5-second pit stop. He's been having 14s all night. I think he's a little slow on the stop this time. Yeah, Danny Condon had a 14.1, and he came out first. I think that was just varying pit stop times. Jeremy Stanley with a 13.8.
Yep, so it looks like 4 tires for everybody, but slow stop for the 47. Now the 47 moves in front of the 99. Looks like maybe he beat him off a pit road. If so, just barely, but nonetheless, he's going to have to start from the 2nd position. He's not going to be controlling this restart.
Brendan McGee has got his vehicle back on the track, just logging some laps, I guess.
Yep, we talked about pride earlier. I'm pretty sure that's the only thing driving him. He was scored last, so he's no longer scored last, so we can say that much. Running on the Speedway 81 laps down. And it looks like he's going to take a wave around from the pace car, so he'll stay 81 laps down instead of 82, at least for a short time. But Danny Condon has taken over the lead. Looking at the overview of his race, this is the first time he's led, so far 1 lap led. He's run as low as 28th, started in 27th, and now leads the field.
Yeah, you got to think that if he gets a good restart here, he might have something for Overland and even Stanley back there and Ramsdell. We're shaping up for a battle.
Yep. Looks like we're going to have about 30 laps to go when we get going back green here. Everybody on fresh tires. It's going to be really chaotic on this restart with everybody with a fresh rubber, and they know that it's go time now because this could very well go green to the end with the number of drivers that we have left and the way that this race has been going. So you got to get what you can get on this restart. And with Jeff Ramsdell back there scored 4th and Overland trying to take over, back over the lead, it's going to be pretty chaotic to see those guys working along with Condon and Stanley. Because we've seen in this race, it's really hard to pull off a pass on somebody when they're running that outside line. So track position is going to be quite important here, and this restart is going to be the best opportunity to get some. Lights are out on the pace car. We're going to be going green next time by. Give you a rundown of our lead lap cars while they continue to pace. Running first is Danny Condon. Running second is Chris Overland. Third is Jeremy Stanley. Fourth, Jeff Ramsdale. And fifth, Brian Mercurio. Sixth is Eric Rodman. Running seventh is Mike Johnson. Eighth is Stephen Knight. Ninth is Ben Ziener. And 10th is Philip Kraus. Those are the lead lap cars left. Running 11th is Elliot Henderson, 1 lap down, so should a caution come out, he will get back onto the lead lap, but everybody beyond him is several laps down. So as of right now, this race is in the hands of our top 10. Who's it going to be here in these last 31 laps? 32 rather, when they come to the line. Pace car peels off, now waiting for that green flag. Waiting for it, there it goes into the air, and they head off towards turn number 1. Looks like Chris Overland got a really good restart.
And
Jeff
I think Ramsdale got a better restart, giving Overland a push in turn 1.
They're running side by side off of turn number 2. Condon's coming strong up on the inside, running door to door with Overland down the backstretch. They're all double file going into turn number 3. And Condon doesn't want to give that lead up. He knows that Overland's been running up front all race, but he doesn't care. He wants this lead, and he doesn't want to give it up.
He's holding strong in the bottom.
Led that lap by 1,000. I'm sorry, he did not lead that lap by 1,000th of a second. It looked like he had the lead, but that just goes to show how close it was at the line. They continue to run side by side as Jeremy Stanley is taking over the 3rd position, and he's trying to see who he should go with.
Mike Johnson just took over the 5th position while this is all going on.
Jeff Ramsdale now trying to work underneath Stanley. Stanley shut the door on him. And now he works up the hill, and Ramsdale's looking to his inside. They continue to go side by side for the lead.
Looks like the back of Danny's car started to slide a little bit, and he caught it, but definitely tight racing here.
Yeah, he was just about clear of Overland, and then it started snapping out from underneath of him, and lost a lot of ground, and that allowed Overland to pull back even with him. And now it looks like Overland is going to clear him, but Condon's going to drive it down to turn number 1, try and stay side by side with that 47. Doesn't want to let the 47 get clear. Still looking to the inside, but now he has to concede that Overland is clear of him, and Overland takes back over the lead. Condon is 2nd, and meanwhile they're racing really hard for 3rd. Ramsdale and Jeremy Stanley running for 3rd. Ramsdale trying to get back up there to that 47. We saw him running with him 1 run ago. Wants to get back up there and challenge for that lead. Stanley holding strong on that outside, doesn't want to give it up.
Brian Mercurio racing with Mike Johnson, trying to take back 5th that he just lost. And Danny's really loose. Condon sideways up the hill.
He's going up. He's going to catch the wall. Keep it up there. Keep it up there.
Oh, that's
they're getting into each other.
going to be a caution.
And the caution's back out. That all started when Condon, that thing for several laps looked really loose, and it finally got out from underneath him, and he was up along the wall and came off of it. Managed to keep him off of the drivers underneath of him, but they all reacted to him coming off the wall and got into each other.
That is one thing about this racing that we're having. Although it's theoretically almost full throttle, it's very easy to have that happen to you, and surprisingly more drivers haven't had that kind of incident.
That's what separates this from the real super speedways. Sure, you can run full throttle or almost full throttle here, but it's really, you're really right on the fine edge of having the car underneath of you and being out of control. Unfortunately, Mike Johnson really took a hard hit on that incident, and it really wasn't of his making, but he looks like he's out. He hit that wall a ton.
Now this is got to be the stop that you're gonna see some strategies. Yeah, if I'm fifth on back, I'm taking 2 tires and throwing a curveball at these leaders.
Well, you have to do something to them. I mean, Chris Overland's been running up front all race long. So has Jeff Ramsdell. I mean, aside from that pit road speeding penalty, but he's charged right back up to the pack, up to the front of the pack. If you're running fifth on back, and maybe even if you're Jeremy Stanley or someone like that, you need to do something to get in front of those guys and maybe try and hold them off, especially with only having, put 5 or 6 laps on those tires. This would be the perfect time to do that.
Definitely. Looks like 4 tires for Stanley, 4 tires for Ramsdale, 4 tires for Overland. With a really fast
Looks like
stop.
everybody went with the 4 tires, so I don't know if they're banking on maybe another late caution and they'll have a chance to make a move there, but I certainly would have tried to do something different.
And possibly Ramsdale with another speeding penalty?
It looks like it. He's letting everybody go around.
Wow.
That's really going to hurt his chances at this point in time. 25 laps to go as of right now, probably about 22 to go when we go back green. Having to come back from the pack once again. I mean, I know we don't have too many left running, but we also have the lap cars that he has to negotiate around, so. And at this point in the race, every pass is going to be difficult because nobody wants to give it up. So that's going to be, that's really going to hurt his chances at this point in time.
Looks like Elliot Henderson stayed out. I'm not sure what lap he's on, but he might be potentially getting back on the lead lap here.
Yes, he should. He should be able to get his lap back because he was 1 lap down at the time of that caution. Trying to see. Don't see them having given him his lap back, but he should be back on the lead lap before this is all said and done.
And Hayden Rapaugh looking to get another wave around here before it's all said and done.
And Rapaugh running 16 laps down at this point, but running 13th, so heck, at the rate they're going, he might manage to be able to squeak out a top 10.
He is racing with Jesus.
Small miracle potentially for Hayden Rapaugh.
Closing in on almost 20 laps to go now. What do you expect to happen here now? Fresh tires for all our leaders?
I expect a lot of what we just saw in that last restart, only even more so. Nobody's going to want to give an inch at this point in the race because any position, anything that you give up on the track at this point in time is going to be immensely hard to get back. And that was probably their best chance of beating Chris Overland at this point in time with him being second, but now that he's in the lead, it's going to be really hard to get back around him. But this restart is going to be the time to do it. Get a good run into turn 1 and 2 and down the back straightaway. Maybe you can make something happen. And meanwhile, everybody behind them is going to be trying to make that happen as well. Try and get up to the lead. So this is just going to be really chaotic, and everybody's going to be taking, and there's going to be no giving. As the lights are off on the pace car, we're going to be going green next time by. And there will be 22 laps to go.
Looks like Jeff Ramsdale will be starting 7th after a speeding penalty. Doesn't seem like that much to close, but it'll definitely be huge once they get going here.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, there's not too many people left on this lead lap, but, you're running 7th on this restart. There's 22 laps to go. You have 22 laps to get around 6 drivers who absolutely want to do everything in their power to keep you from getting around them. This is different than earlier on in the race when everybody was just trying to, situate themselves and would potentially just let you go about your business and, wait until later to really race you hard. Now is the time to race hard. Nobody's going to be giving you anything.
One to watch out for. We haven't really focused on a lot here is Brian Mercurio into 41. He's been turning some good lap times here, and the pace car's in.
Yeah, he's sitting there in third. He's been strong. Just haven't seen him in the picture in the lead there quite so much, but he's been running right up in the top 5 as they head down towards turn number 1. Overland got a great restart. He clears Stanley, and Stanley clears Mercurio for second. So top 3 are single file going through turns 1 and 2. Stanley's trying to get a run on Overland, trying to look to the inside. Overland looked like he was going to try to block, but Stanley's there. Stanley to the inside in turns 3 and 4, trying to take the lead for the first time in this event.
You got to get all you can get out of these tires before they wear, and if you're going to make a pass, it's going to be on the bottom, and Stanley's giving it all he's got right now.
Stanley working to the inside still in turns 1 and 2. Overland hanging really strong on that outside. Doesn't look like Stanley has quite the run down the backstretch, but Brian Mercurio's trying to push him, it looked like.
But he's actually
now
going for the
Mercurio
pass.
comes to the inside.
Oh, he's going to get
They
real
raced
close.
really tight for second. It's like I said, they're going to be taking everything they can get, and they're not going to give anything. That allows Chris Overland to pull 6 car lengths on them. They continue to run side by side for second, and there's Jeff Ramsdell running in fourth. Side by side down the back straightaway for the second position.
Oh, we got a
20
car
laps left.
door banging at the back, but it looks like they'll keep it going straight.
Looked like Ben Zener and the number 11 there. That was really close.
Not sure how they held it straight, but Jeff Ramsdell looking to the outside of Brian Mercurio as we enter turn 1.
Yeah, Jeff Ramsdell going to try and make a pass on the outside. Couldn't quite stay with him entering the corner. But he gets a good run off. Now he's going to look to the inside as they approach turn number 3. Mercurio throws a bit of a block, but Ramsdell's having none of it. He's still going underneath of him.
He's running, just keeps on consistently running that line where he just enters high and just slopes it, and that's where you get that charge, the entrance of 3.
Mercurio did everything he could to keep Ramsdell from getting underneath of him, and he wasn't able to do that, and I'm pretty sure it ruined his line for 3 and 4, so it wasn't much of a contest for that third position.
I believe that was Stephen Knight snapping sideways at the back right there. They keep it going straight.
Now racing for 5th position back there, but now Ramsdell bearing down on 2nd place, Corey Heffley.
Sterling family.
Excuse me, Jeremy Stanley. I don't know where Corey Heffley came from. He's been out of this race for a while now.
But looks like he's going to get the inside here going into 1 and has to
he
back out.
Up a little bit there, had to back out of the throttle, otherwise he was going to send Stanley around.
He knows he's got to get these positions in haste or he won't have time to get Chris Overland.
And what that has done is that's allowed Mercurio to work up the outside of him. Now he has to spend some time fending him off before he can charge up on the 99. Now looking to the outside of Stanley, going through the dog leg in the middle. Contact. There goes Jeff Ramsdell into the outside wall. My goodness. Caution is out, and that is going to end Ramsdell's chances of winning.
Wow.
He was doing everything he could to try and get around Stanley, and just caught the right rear of Stanley's car, and it sent him shooting up into the wall. Really hard lick into that outside wall.
He just got right there to the quarter panel of Stanley, and the car is really light here through the quad oval, and that little bit of contact just sent the nose.
And you know, we said that having that speeding penalty at this point in the race was going to be really hard to get back up to the lead. This incident, indirectly a result of that.
Definitely.
But now, for the rest of the drivers on the track, we have 15 laps left in the scheduled distance. What do? Do you come to pit road, or do you try and stay out and hold everybody off, or do you take 2 tires on pit road, or do you take 4 and try and get all you can get?
Well, with Ramsdell now, the picture, you got to think that if you're second on back, you try and pull a fast one on Overland.
Well, Overland's coming to pit road. Looked like Stanley wanted to stay out, but everybody's coming to pit road, so he dives down. Now the question is 2 or 4.
You gotta expect somebody to take 2, but maybe some of them have tried to at some point, and it's just unbearable. As loose as these cars look whenever they actually get on it, they might not be an option.
I'd have to wonder if Overland's going to take 2 just to protect his position. Nope, going with 4 tires for the 47.
Looks like Brian Mercurio for
took
2.
The 15 took 2. As did the 11th of Eric Rodman. So 3 cars at least took 2 tires. And those 3 cars are all going to be scored ahead of Chris Overland. And with 10 laps to go, it looks like, for this restart, that may not be such a bad move.
I believe Elliot Henderson stayed out. Not sure if he's going to stay out for the restart or if he's just leading the lap, getting on TV here.
Well, he was, that last... We haven't gone too long since that last caution, and he just got back on the lead lap that last caution. Probably wasn't racing too hard just then, since he did have to start at the tail end of the line, so maybe he's going to stay out and see what he can make happen.
Unfortunately for Hayden Raypa and Brennan McGee, if he decides to stay out, they can't get that one precious lap they've been needing.
Well, it looks like, fortunately enough for them, he is electing to come on the pit road, but hey, if I was him, you know what? Came here to win, I would have stayed out. Probably everybody behind me wouldn't have liked it, but, he came here to win. First place is what pays out tonight, so... But he's taking the safer route. He's coming in, getting his 4 tires, and he's going to get all he can get.
Judging by the stripes on his car, he's new to the sim, and I don't think you want to start out your career by being that guy that wiped out in turn 1 on the restart.
Yeah, I can't go back and prevent myself from being the person that wiped out in turn 1, but hey, we all move on.
Why'd you call that tow truck?
Looking at the pit stop times there, it tells the tale. Top 3 took 2 tires, between 7.8 and 8.7 pit stops for them, and Jeremy Stanley elected to put on 4 tires, and interestingly enough, Stanley is going to be on the inside, it looks like, for this restart. Meanwhile, Overland's going to have to work the outside, so we'll see which lane gets the better run here on this restart and which one ultimately pays off, but who knows? I know if it were me, I would want to be on the inside, especially to try and get around people with the older tires, because if you can get underneath people with older tires, it's going to be really hard for them to hold the outside line, even though they don't have too much wear on those left sides. It's just going to be harder for them to maneuver. So I'd rather be on the inside so I can make those sort of moves instead of trying to pass on the outside. This might play into Stanley's favor if he can make up all the ground, but Brian Mercurio, Ben Ziener, Eric Rodman definitely making a move that's going to put them in contention for this win. And like you said on the last restart, Mercurio's been running up front all night long. He's just been a little bit off of Overland and Ramsdell's pace, the pace that Ramsdell was running before that caution, but we'll see what he can do here. He's going to be starting from the lead here on this restart. They're going to have 11 laps to go at the line.
Yeah, and like you said, if I'm Jeremy Stanley, I'm content with where I'm starting right now. The inside is definitely a spot to make up ground, and the outside really is just for trying to hold on for dear life. And with these guys on 2 tires, they might not have that opportunity.
Well, they worked their way down the backstretch. Lights are off on the pace car. We're going to be going green when we come back around to the line. Give you a quick rundown here of our lead lap drivers. Brian Mercurio is first, second, Ben Ziener, third, Eric Rodman, fourth, Chris Overland, fifth, Jeremy Stanley, sixth, Danny Gondon, running seventh is Stephen Knight, eighth, Philip Kraus, and ninth, Elliot Henderson. Those are the drivers that are in contention for the win. Coming to 11 laps to go for this restart. All bets are off. Pace car peels off onto pit road, waiting for that green flag to go in the air. Looks like the 15's lagging back a little bit, trying to get a run. And it might have worked out for him. Looks like he's got a bit of momentum coming to the outside of the 41, heading towards turn number 1. Meanwhile, Overland's going to dive down to the inside, take over that third position. The number 11 there did not quite get going there, Eric Rodman, on that restart, and that really played in Chris Overland's favor. Meanwhile, he's trying to get to the inside of that 41, but the 41's not having any of it.
Yeah, Jeremy Stanley held up a lot by that 11 car on the restart. Not able to get any around.
Around in front of him. Going down into the infield. Will it bring out the caution? It hasn't yet.
It has not yet. And
Still
Chris
green.
Overland still racing for this lead, diving it hard on the inside, and it just didn't look like it stuck
And the
there.
caution has been thrown. Oh, and Brian Mercurio almost... Man, he was way sideways as the caution came out there.
Does not look like we'll have to go to a GWC attempt on this caution, but if there is another, we will most definitely have to have a GWC.
Let's see, taking the caution on lap 122, so we'll probably be restarting with about 4 or 5 laps to go. Take a look back at that that incident there, the number 11 of Eric Rodman. Just lost it coming off of turn number 4, probably a result of those 2 tires really slick, and you got to be very careful with it. And you know, when you're going after it all, it's hard to let up and gather it back up. And he wasn't able to keep it straight. Spun back onto the asphalt there at the start-finish line, and that's when the caution came out.
Jeremy Stanley really lucky right there to only get out with maybe a scrape from the minor contact, but cars took, and as a result of that, it looks like Stephen Knight also spun. Taking another look here.
Stephen Knight in that 64.
Oh yeah, as Stanley has
yeah.
to Stanley has to clip the grass there, and he just nowhere to go. They ended up 3 wide there trying to avoid the wreck.
So that would be when the caution came out. I had not noticed that in real time, so that would be the reason why the caution ended up coming out, because the 11 was down off the track. The 64 is coming to the pits to put on fresh tires. Probably not going to mean too much, considering they were only going around for a lap, but you know, might as well throw them on there after spinning around and see what you can do with them. And I think this is really playing into Brian Mercurio's hands, because Chris Overland had cleared everybody else and was right on the rear deck lid of that 41, and he was going to have to try and hold him off for 10 more laps. Now you can run 4 or 5 laps under caution, have Overland starting to your outside, try and get a good restart. Maybe somebody gets to the inside of Overland and buy you some time.
Yeah, Overland's just got a couple more laps until his tires to that point to where they would be about the same as Mercurio's, and if he can hold him off for that long, you got to think that he's got a real shot to win this.
And I would say this caution coming out, cooling down those tires, that's only playing into Mercurio's hands even more. But Jeremy Stanley was talking about, you know, which lane was going to go and which one wouldn't. That inside lane just did not go in front of him, and now he's scored 6th. Going to be really hard for him to get up there into contention.
If I was him, I would have came down and got more tires, because everybody behind him did.
Probably going to be pretty inconsequential as far as his grip level, but just as a result of how that restart worked out, not going to be too much that Stanley can do here. If he's going to get up to the front, he's going to need some help from those guys in front of him as far as mistakes. Stanley having been the second driver to take 4 tires on that last stop, I would have been looking for him to take 2, but other drivers took advantage.
Expecting the lights to go off on the pace car this time by.
Coming around to complete lap number 124. So if they do indeed go off, we'll be restarting with 5 laps to go. Lights are out on the pace car. They're doubling up the field, and we'll be green 1 lap from now. All right, 5 laps to go. Who are you putting your money on there, Bates?
Well, if it comes down to real money, I got to put my money on Chris Overland. He's dominated this race, and with really his only competition being Ransdale thus far. You got to think that he can just steal this, but the theoretical money, I'm putting it on Brian Mercurio.
I was just about to say, you know, real money, I'd probably have to go with Overland just because he's had the speed all night and he has the tires. But, you know, if I've got some internet money to throw around, I'm putting on that 41. He's been strong all night and he's got the position. Sure, he doesn't have the left side tires, but he's restarting in the lead and he's going to do everything he can to hold that 47 behind him, along with the rest of the field.
You know, really, one somebody we're counting out here possibly is Danny Condon, and he's known to be fast. He hasn't really shown a whole lot tonight, but he could have a breakout moment here.
Yeah, he's had a strong recovery since that incident where he lost it off a 4 and hit the wall. He's back up to 4th since then and looking for more. Meanwhile, pace car peels off. We're coming down to the green flag with 5 laps to go. Waiting for it. Green flag is in the air, and Chris Overland gets a great restart.
But Brian Mercurio hangs right with him.
But that was exactly the restart that Overland needed. But Mercurio holding strong on that inside. Overland really pinching him down. Got to be careful about that. We saw some netcode issues earlier. This is the worst time to have that happen. Overland pulls a bit of an advantage on the backstretch, but Mercurio drives it into turn number 3, trying to make it stick. It looks like it did. Pulls a little bit on Overland. Now Overland has the momentum from up top, but side by side, door to door, as they come to 4 laps to go and head to turn 1. And the top 6 are all double filed, just like they were on the restart. As, oh my goodness, the 15 just went into a hole.
Oh, and Henderson's in the wall, and Stephen Knight's door to door, somebody back there, but we're still racing up here.
They held it straight. We're still green, and they're still side by side for the lead there. But it looks like Overland's going to maybe get the advantage there off the corner, and there it is. Overland's clear. 3 laps to go. Now Brian Mercurio is going to have to try and hold on to second and see if he can mount a charge at the 47, but the 15 got on his rear bumper and had to check up. That's allowing Condon to get onto the inside of him for 3rd. And now Jeremy Stanley goes to the inside, making it 3 wide entering turn 3. Nothing to lose at this point. Got to try and make up some ground.
And a caution at this point will bring out a green-white checkered.
Condon really loose in the middle there, had to get out of it, and falls to 5th as the 15 of Benziner and the 99 of Jeremy Stanley continue to race side by side for that 3rd position. Up front, Brian Mercurio trying to close back in on the 47. He's running right in his tire tracks, but he just can't quite close in. As they work their way through turns 3 and 4, they're going to see the white flag next time by. Stanley was able to take over that 3rd position, but he's not going to have enough time to try and close in on the leaders. White flag is in the air. 1 more lap around Atlanta Motor Speedway. Chris Overland works his way through turns 1 and 2 and down the backstretch. A good 3 car lengths in hand over the 41 of Brian Mercurio. As they head to turn 3, Mercurio closes it into 2 car lengths, but isn't going to have enough time to get back to the 47.
He's going to try to make it close.
4, the 41 gets to the rear bumper, but can't quite get there. Probably needed 1 more lap. Chris Overland takes the win in the Hooters 200. 2nd goes to Mercurio. 3rd, Jeremy Stanley. 4th, Benziner, and Danny Condon rounds out the top 5. Mercurio did not have the tires, but he had the will. He was trying to get there. But Chris Overland did everything he needed to do all night long, and he's going to come down to the front stretch and burn them down. Chris Overland won our opening race at Daytona and now picks up his 2nd in these little set of feature races that we've had. He's won 2 of the 4 races that we've run. Well, who are we going to be talking to in this this little post-race show here, Alex?
If we can get a hold of Danny Condon, we'll start with him, and I do see him.
Buddy was moved to your channel.
We have Danny Condon here, our 5th place finisher. Danny, what did you need to be able to get up there and compete for the lead and beat Chris Overland there at the end?
Well, I got in the wall about 20 laps to go, and I had a little damage, so car was a little tight. Maybe if I pitted on that last set of pit stops there, I could have got some fresher tires, but that was about all I had there.
All in all, there was a lot of chaos at the beginning of this race. What was the key in being able to keep your nose out of all of that?
Mainly just slow down. A lot of people weren't checking up for wrecks, and it was getting a little frustrating there. A lot of cautions after cautions, but it was a good race all in all, and I enjoyed racing here at Atlanta.
Well, congratulations on the 5th place finish there. A field nearly 40 cars strong, and you pull out a top 5, so congratulations.
All right, thanks. Y'all have a good evening.
Buddy was moved out of your channel.
That was Danny Condon, driving the number 58, finished 5th here tonight.
Does not look like we'll be able to get a word with our 4th place finisher in the 15, but we'll have a word with Jeremy Stanley now.
Buddy was moved to your channel.
Jeremy Stanley finished 3rd in tonight's event. Jeremy, you were charging hard on that last restart, trying to make up the ground that you lost on the previous one, but just not enough time.
Yeah, I knew with the 4 tires that I took and the guys in front of me had 2, I knew I had a good chance to get back up there, and so made a couple of good moves to get myself a solid top 3 up there.
Do you think you had anything for Chris Overland there in an open track, or do you think you got the best you could have gotten tonight?
Oh, I got the best. Yeah, Overland had the dominant car all race. So did Jeff Ramsdale. Sorry for the contact we had there late in the run, but yeah, Overland dominant car. I figured I'd maybe get a top 5. I didn't expect to get a top 3 tonight, so I'm going to take what I got there.
Well, congratulations on the effort there, Jeremy. Anything you'd like to add, Alex?
Good run out there, and yeah, that contact with Ramsdale. I mean, what did you see from your point of view?
I think he was just getting really close to my car, and I kind of maybe moved up a little bit. And when he got to my quarter panel, we barely touched, and from there my car shifted right, and I couldn't get it to go back left, and then until he went up and hit the wall there. I really had no control over it once we made that initial contact.
That's about what it looked like from up here.
Just a lot of hard racing in those final laps, it looked like.
Oh yeah, definitely. It was a blast.
Well, congrats again on your 3rd place finish there, Jeremy.
Appreciate it, guys.
Buddy was
That's
moved
Jeremy
out
Stanley
of your
of
channel.
the number
Error.
99. Finished 3rd here tonight. Let's see if we can't get a word with Brian Mercurio, who finished 2nd.
User was moved to your channel.
Well, Brian Mercurio, you got 2nd place, and you tried to get back to Overland there on that last lap. It came really close, but what did you need to be able to pull off the win here tonight?
It was kind of a strategy call to take 2 tires there. I really wanted the track position there, and I was really talking with Chris most of the time, and I wasn't really sure what he was going to do. So I took 2 tires. I got the lead there. I kind of lost it to him, but if I took 4 tires, it might have been a different story.
It looked like even with the 2 tires, if you had a couple more laps, you might have been able to do something with him, because you closed right up to his back bumper coming to the checkered.
Yeah, that's probably the hardest I've ever tried at passing someone there. I was really pushing the car. I really slid it off of 4 on the last lap, and I don't think I would have had a chance on 2 tires.
Well, nonetheless, you made a heck of a run at it there, and held off Overland for quite a while there, even despite having just the 2 tires.
Yeah, it's kind of loose. It was definitely a lot looser than it was on 4. It was a little bit unstable, and obviously it wasn't as fast, but kind of strategy call, and it almost paid off.
Well, certainly still nonetheless a great run in a race that had a lot going on in the beginning. What did you do? What was the key to you staying out of all that chaos and keeping your car clean and in contention?
I definitely knew that on a track like this with so many cars, when there's a wreck, it's going to wad up and it's going to be a huge wreck. So for the first couple laps, I
Buddy
decided to run
disconnected from your
around
channel.
like 25th and 30th. Just kind of, take it easy, keep out of harm's way, and slowly work my way through the field.
Well, it definitely worked out. Congratulations on your great run. Sorry you couldn't quite get the win, but certainly a respectable finish there in second, and we'll see you next time, I'm sure.
All right.
User was
As
moved
Brian
out of your
Mercurio
channel.
finishes second here tonight in the Hooters 200, let's see if we can catch up with our winner.
Buddy was moved to your channel.
Here's Chris Overland. He won our race at Daytona, and now he's a victor at Atlanta. Chris, how does it feel?
Oh, it feels great, man. That car was great the whole race. I had Brandon Cattell on my mind the whole race, man, because that run where I pulled away, I was just thinking, man, it could have been Brandon Cattell out there, and I wish I could have prevented that incident that we had together. But I mean, it's racing; it's gonna happen. Especially on these simulator races, is nothing you can really do about netcode. But man, Ryan he kept me honest that last run. He caught me sleeping. He held me on the he held me off on the inside for a long time, and I finally got him cleared. And when I cleared him, he didn't give up. He didn't go away. And I almost blew it that last corner, but it was an awesome race.
Yeah, I was about to say, I kind of had written the check to you there already as you were entering turn 3, and by the time you came off turn 4, it looked like he was going to pull up to your door.
Yeah, that's what I saw. I came off 2, and it pushed real bad, and I saw him entering the corner. Or I looked back, I saw him, he was right there. I just told myself, all right, just run the same corner you've been running all race. And I did, and it bottomed out so bad in the center, I couldn't get back to the gas, and there he came, and just lucky he got loose off the corner, because if he didn't, he would have had me. It was big ups to Brian Mercurio. He is basically out of the spotlight. No one knows who he is outside of the SRG community, but he's such a better driver than that. He's well known when it comes to me being in races with him. He's always a threat, and he's awesome.
Well, he certainly gave you a run for your money. Going back to the incident with Brandon Cattell, did you have a chance to see the replay on that one or speak to Brandon about it?
I haven't got to speak to Brandon about it, but what I was told was I was a few feet away from him, and it was like the simulator assumed that I had made contact with him. I need to look at the replay, but regardless of what happened, I feel really bad for Brandon because that was an aggressive move that I shouldn't have made at that point in the race. But it happened, and luckily I didn't get too much damage out of it, and the car was still good enough to pull out the victory.
Well, I can certainly tell you from up here, that's the way it appeared, is so you're a few feet off of him, and there was just contact as a result of the netcode in the sim. But unfortunate as that may have been, you got to victory lane the second time in the 4 races that we've run, so congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. I just want to say thanks to my sponsor, the Color Yellow, Last Row Motorsports, all the guys over there. Joey Brown just had an awesome win at the NASCAR iRacing Series World Championship race here last night, and to go back-to-back, so to speak, with his team and his motors and his chassis it's awesome. And I want to thank those guys for believing in me, and everybody at SRG Sim Racers Garage for watching the race and keeping me pumped up, and all that whole community, just full of great people, and don't know where sim racing would be without them.
Absolutely.
Oh, and you guys, of course.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, we'd like to extend a thank you to you and also all the other drivers who participated tonight and for putting on a bit of a shaky show at the beginning, but a great one at the end.
Yep. You guys just feel free to check out lastrowmotorsports.com, and you guys enjoy the rest of your night.
You do the same. Enjoy that win.
Yes, sir.
That's Chris
Buddy
Overland,
was moved
winner
out of your
of the
channel.
Hooters 200. Let's see, can we bring up those final results there, Alex?
Yes, we can, and they're up.
Alrighty, our winner, Chris Overland. Second, Brian Mercurio. Third, Jeremy Stanley. Fourth to Ben Ziener. And fifth to Danny Condon. Sixth went to Stephen Knight. Seventh to Philip Kraus. A fairly good recovery for Philip, considering he was involved in that first accident. Eighth to Eric Rodman. Ninth to Elliot Henderson. And 10th, Hayden Rapaw, who kept running out on that track, and with that war on attrition that everybody had, he ended up coming out with 10th, so that's why he kept going.
Racing with Jesus.
11th went to Jeff Ramsdell. Unfortunate that he was in that last incident that he was in, but certainly was strong here tonight. 12th to Corey Heffley, 13th to Mike Johnson, 14th to Chuck Johnson, and 15th to Brandon Hoff. 16th to Corey Carpenter, 17th to Case Springsma, 18th to Brandon Cattell, 19th to Brennan McGee, and 20th to Cody Dutton. 21st to Connor Babel, 22nd to Drake Alvarado, 23rd to Ben Hancock, 24th to Ryan Williams, 25th to Stephen Little Jr., 26th went to Mike Taylor, 27th to Brian Frick, 28th to Matt Sanders, 29th to Dylan Duvall, and 30th to Dylan Landry. 31st went to Kyle Clements, 32nd to Brian Green, 33rd to Joe Johnson, 34th to Josh Buckwheat, 35th to Brian Tedeschi, 36th to Ryan Cobb, and 37th to Kyle Taraska, and that rounds out the cars that made a lap on in our event tonight. A few others had shown up on the entry list but did not complete any laps. Any closing thoughts here, Alex?
Special thanks to all you guys still watching or watched at any point during the race. We had about an average of 20 watching the entire race, even through the pace laps. But and definitely tune in to Daytona coming up in a few weeks. Going back again, the bumpy Daytona 07, but this time I think we're doing the old cars.
Yeah, that seems to be what Brendan set on for his next races. These national cars at bumpy Daytona, so it should be a good show there. Certainly one of the better races that we put on was at bumpy Daytona there. And just want to thank you all for taking the time to watch this broadcast, especially with how the race was earlier on in the event, and just for taking your time to stick with us and watch it through the end. Certainly want to thank you for that, and we hope you enjoyed it.